Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. In this video, I'll finally be able to showcase the upcoming Wood Elf rework, the changes to current mechanics already available in-game, and new ones being implemented through this DLC cycle. Please bear in mind that anything shown in this video is of course going to be for all Wood Elf characters. Anything specifically or uniquely added in for Bertsche or the Sisters of Twilight will not be shown in this video. Instead, we'll be highlighting them in their own future videos in a later date. But let's not waste any more time and jump right in. The Wood Elf construction tab has now been changed, as you can see. Everything now feels a bit more compact. With this, it should now be easier for players to decide what type of buildings they want in each of their Wood Elven settlements. However, you may have noticed that the Wood Elf settlements have lost 2 construction slots, where now they have 10 slots like every other provincial capital. This is not as much of a clutch as people may think. The fusing of certain buildings has made it easier for you to build up your settlements, so don't worry too much about that. You may have realized that the upgrading of buildings and units no longer require amber. This is a massive change for the Wood Elves, and a much welcome one indeed. This will change up the way of play for the Wood Elves dramatically. Some buildings, however, will require population growth, now known as kindred for the Wood Elves. In essence, construction for some buildings will work in a very similar way to how hordes do, where you will require an increasing amount of kindred to be able to upgrade certain buildings. However, unlike hordes, the prices themselves seem to be quite set. Population growth is fairly slow at the beginning, however you can get buildings to upgrade this. And it is important to note once again that not all buildings will require kindred. The technology tab has also been greatly improved upon. You'll see here that you won't require amber once again for the large majority of your tech, where the main branches of your tree will not require it whatsoever. However, there is a little bit of an amber requirement. And don't worry, amber itself does not feature heavily with the Wood Elves anymore. Amber is still available for the Wood Elves, however it's not that important early campaign. The central hubs for all the magical forests implemented throughout this patch cycle now have a system called Forest Health. Forest Health can be increased over time, primarily by keeping your borders to your ancient forests secure. As you get more and more Forest Health, you will eventually unlock faction-wide bonuses. Please also bear in mind that every magical forest, not just Athaloran, have their own Forest Health. There are a few new magical forests being implemented throughout this patch cycle, and we'll cover that soon enough. Athaloran, however, will require much more Forest Health than the other magical forests. Forest Health can be improved, but also can be reduced. The way to stop the reduction, however, is by completing a Ritual of Rebirth. That would be the purple icon shown at the Oak of Ages. Now, the only way to unlock a potential Ritual of Rebirth would be by getting enough Forest Health to unlock the next phase. Once performing the ritual, enemy armies will begin to spawn. The enemy armies will be themed to the area that you are performing these rituals at. However, you will receive advanced warnings as to where your enemies will spawn at. Successfully completing these rituals will stop the decay of Forest Health. There are no longer any pre-requirements to be able to confederate with other Wood Elf factions. This is absolutely well received. No longer will you require to level up your main hub, the Oak of Ages, to be able to confederate, meaning that in theory, providing on your diplomatic relations with the other factions, you will be able to confederate Athaloran much quicker. Officers for the Wood Elves have also been changed. For example, Orion's officers have been rethemed entirely around the Wild Hunt mechanic. When a hunt is called, all characters in an office will receive bonuses themed to their office. The same can also be said for Durfu and his faction. You will also notice for both factions that each of the office slots also have icons above them. Those icons follow different lords. They'll get a few extra benefits if the correct lord is placed there. However, there is no specific locking for any other lords to be placed in those specific areas. Durfu also receives a rather nice change for his faction specifically, as you're more than likely to use more tree spirits than you would elves, so to be able to give the tree spirits that little extra bit of a punch, you can now upgrade your different tree spirits in a very similar way to how the greenskins can upgrade their units. There are 3 different types of upgrades for each of the wood elf units in the form of aspects. Aspect of the birch, aspect of the willow, and aspect of the oak. And the best thing about this is you can purchase these upgrades with gold. There is no unique resource tied to it. There are some special events tied to your forest, when sometimes some forces will attempt to gather up an invasion force deep within Athaloran. This will pop up as a specialized quest marker, and you'll have a certain number of turns to get there and be able to deal with the invading forces. Bear in mind that should you not reach them in time, a larger, more powerful force will appear. Defeating these armies will also grant you forest health. Be warned though that sometimes these events can spawn in the other elven territories of Athaloran, meaning that unless you have military access with these factions, you might have some problems in terms of diplomatic relations. Sometimes these event markers themselves are not an invading force, but instead forces of races that dwell nearby your area which may be trying to pass by Athaloran. On screen right now, a greenskin force has been trying to march through. Now, I can choose to let them be, but the forest spirits will not be happy. I will, however, still acquire forest health. Or I could choose to now attack them, where in doing so and defeating them, I will receive some provincial benefits, but also agitate any of the nearby greenskin factions. You are also allowed to decide later if you so wish. These events will pop up in relation to any factions nearby your territories. On screen, as explained, we have a greenskin faction, however I've also had Bretonnians try to make their way through. A while back I mentioned that the surrounding areas to your magical forest can also affect the rate of growth of forest health. As you can see here, Karak Buftar and Festaspike are both neighbouring regions, each with different icons. The icons are actually the same, and will change depending on that specific faction standing with you. In red, that means that the faction's at war with you and is negatively affecting your forest health. In the beige neutral colour, it means that the faction itself is neutral with you, and thus not affecting your forest health. The icon will also turn green if you are allied with that faction, and in turn you will receive a positive bonus to your forest health. Should you prefer the more diplomatic approach, you can always decide to attack the factions. You can then either occupy the territory and establish an outpost, or clear the hearthland. Both options, unlike sacking, will also provide some bonuses to your forest health. Of course, it's not just Athaloran which counts as a magical forest, where now we have 8 active magical forests throughout the Mortal Empires campaign, each of them in different parts of the playable map. Each of the magical forests will have their own forest health, and each of those forests once again will have their own faction-wide bonuses. This will give you incentive to travel across the world to be able to take control of all the active forests. Obviously, there can be an issue here. You see, all these forests are very far away from each other, so getting to some of them specifically can be a bit of an issue. However, now the Wood Elves may take advantage of their lawfully added Deep Roots mechanic, where they'll now be able to essentially teleport their armies to any of the active forests. Every few turns, you can select one army to teleport through the Deep Roots. Of course, they'll need to be inside the faction hub of your provincial capital. And yes, this is a complete teleport. Your army will then move to that area, and it doesn't matter if another faction owns that area, meaning that you can either decide to defend the forest with those armies, or launch an invasion directly through the Deep Roots. Bear in mind there is a cooldown, however certain events will allow you to reduce it. With that, I believe I've covered as much as possible in regards to the upcoming Wood Elf rework. I wanted to make sure this video was small and easily condensed enough, so that way people don't get overwhelmed with all the changes. I hope I've answered any questions in regards to the upcoming rework. However, should you have any more, please do not be afraid to ask, as I am willing to answer them. Bear in mind that right now I am only able to discuss the Wood Elf rework itself. As explained yesterday, we're going to have a lot of content popping up on the channel regarding anything to do with the Wood Elf DLC and its accompanying patch and reworks. So if you're interested in more content, please don't be afraid to subscribe, it really does help the channel out. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.